Greetings everyone, how are you all doing today? Okay, as promised, I'm doing this video for you. I'm going to explain about the pedigree diagram. Now before we go and talk about the pedigree diagram, you should know a few concepts. Okay, the concepts are, now genes are inherited from both your father and your mother. Okay, both parents. Now genes always comes in pairs. For example, your blood type. Now for blood type A, the possible genotypes are I, A, I, O and I, A, I, A. Now the first one is what we call as heterozygous. Okay, the second one is what we call as homozygous. Okay, now genotype here is also known as genotype. It's a combination of gene and type, genotype. Now gene always comes in pairs because you receive 23 pairs as a total human being. You'll receive 23 from your father and 23 from your mother. So when you have this genotype, and these genotypes are actually haploid because gametocytes only have haploid form of your genetic material. So in this combination, okay, you'll get 46 chromosomes, which means you get a full human being, and this 46 chromosomes is known as diploid. Okay, in chapter 17 you will learn about monohybrid inheritance. Now what is monohybrid inheritance? Mono means single, singular, hybrid means combinations. So you have singular combination inheritance. Okay, singular combination inheritance. This is normally for a single type of characteristics. In extension, you'll be learning how single characteristics are inherited from your parents. Okay, now for example, the singular type of combinations could be your gender. In normal conditions, gender are binary. You are either male or female. Okay, now gametocytes carries the gene for gender. The ovum exclusively carries the X chromosome, and sperm either carries X or Y chromosome. Okay, now the male sex genes, that mean the genes that control gender, is for a male one, which is already 46 chromosome, is either X and Y. You don't have double X. Okay, for female it's X. So this is the only possible gene combination that will produce a male individual, and this is the only possible combination for female individual. Okay, how gender is inherited? Like I mentioned just now, the sperm will carry either X chromosome or Y chromosome. So the sperm actually will be the deciding factor of gender. Okay, the ovum in the top one, the first scenario, and the second scenario, the ovum will contain X chromosome. Okay, only the sperm will change. So for the sperm and ovum, it is still haploid cells. Okay, even these are considered haploid cells because they contain only a single gene. Okay, the first scenario, it shows that the sperm is carrying only X gene and the ovum is already carrying X gene. So in the end, you'll have a female individual here because the female has double X. So for this female individual, we call this already diploid. Okay, now the crosses that you see here is fertilization. In biology terms, this X means marry, okay, or cross. in the terms of gametocyte, this is fertilization. Okay, now in the second scenario, you have a sperm which is carrying the Y chromosome, okay, and the ovum is carrying X chromosome. Likewise, the same, like in the same scenario, the sperm and ovum are haploid cells. Also, the genotype is also haploid, and now the male one is diploid. Okay, now what you'll get in the end is male individual. Okay, male individual. Okay, now monohybrid inheritance is a singular characteristics which is passed down through the parents. Okay, through the parents. That means you have half the characteristic from your father, half the characteristic from mother. You'll get in combination or else in whole. Okay, so monohybrid inheritance, like I mentioned just now, mono means a singular, hybrid means combination. Okay, because of the genes. Okay, now when you do the pedigree diagram, there are few rules to follow. Okay, first rule, do not change the codes. Okay, which is already in the questions. If the question say X, it is X. If it's capital letter, capital letter. If it's lowercase, lowercase. Do not change the codes. Okay, we'll do some exercises after this. I'll also give you questions. You will see how it goes. Okay, now secondly, when you write the codes, okay, when you write the codes, always follow alphabetical order. Okay, if they said A, B, C, D, follow A, B, C, D. Okay, now unless the question demands, then you can change the codes. So do not change the codes as you wish. Okay, now the third rule is, once you know the genotype of the parents, the second step is to separate the genes into its individual form. Okay, you'll also see shortly after this when I start doing the pedigree diagram using the blood type. Okay, now the fourth one, use the 1-3-1-4-2-3-2-4 method. Okay, it might seem long, but it's actually just crisscrossing. There's a specific way to crisscross the genes to show you how does the gene come into combination. Now this is all probability. Okay, probability, it's not surefire, that's why it's probability. Now the probability here they'll show you is like only 4, but when it comes to chapter 18, you'll see there will be 16 different probabilities. Okay, now you only got see 4, but later you'll see got 16 different probabilities. Now use these terms. Okay, genotype means gene type. Okay, genotype means gene type. That is why I put it together so that you don't get confused. Okay, please write it as Genotype, not Genetype. I'm showing you so that you don't get confused. It's a compound word. Okay, now next is phenotype. Phenotype is actually characteristic. Okay, whether it's going to be the hair shape, fingernail length, okay, the height, the gender, okay, and also the eye color, so on and so forth. Okay, these are all characteristics, and we call this as phenotype. Okay guys, initially we learned about gender. Okay, gender is quite easy, but then this is about blood type. So this is one of the components in your chapter that you have to know. Okay, now let's take it a notch higher. Another monotype inheritance is known as your blood type. For example, okay, you may want to pause the video for a while and look at the table which I've already prepared. So when you do this exercises, this coming exercises about your blood type, you can refer to the table only for blood type. Yeah, so you may pause your video when the table comes up. In order to do this pedigree diagram, please refer back to the video from time to time. Refer back to the table that I've already provided from time to time so that you don't get confused. Okay, in the table, I've already put the possible genotypes for blood type A, blood type B, blood type AB, and blood type O. Okay, now according to the information, follow the codes which are given. So here I've given you blood types of A, blood and B. So the possible genotype that I'm using is IAIO and IBIO. So arrange your information like this so that you don't get confused when we start doing the crossing method. Okay, so once you have already arranged your genotype like this, split them to individual genes like this. Okay, so you have IA from IA, IO, IB and IO. Now in this I will use the 1 3 1 4 2 3 2 4 method. Okay, now in short I'll call this 1314 method. Yeah, so if you hear me telling about this 1314 method, that means this is the way that I'm going to use to cross the genotypes. Okay, now the next step is to cross the genes. I'll use the 1314 method. Okay, when I mention 1314 method, it's actually the 1314 2324 method. So I'll be crossing all of these genes so you can see it clearly. Now you have seen me scribbling, you can see the scribble marks here. I've tried this a few times so that I get it right, so that you don't get it wrong. So now I'll cross 1 and 3. Okay, then 1 and 4. Okay, that's why it's called 1314. Next is 2 3, then you have 2 4. Okay, now what you get after crossing is you'll get the F1 generation. You'll get the F1 generation, that means the children. Okay, the children. So what you do is you write back the progeny as I A, this 1 3, and I B 1 3. Then the next is 1 4. That means write back I A, I O. Remember I told you follow alphabetical order. Next is O and B 2 3. But remember alphabetical order once again, I B I O. Next 2 4, I O I O. Now you'll be wondering why you have I A I B then I O I O. What kind of blood type are those? I'll explain to you shortly. Okay, now all you need to know is what are the genotypes. Now these are the genotypes of the F1 generation. All these are the genotypes of the F1 generation. Now these are only probabilities. Okay, probabilities. So if the couple gets married, okay, they have 1 in 4 chance to get this kind of blood type. Okay, now not necessarily A and B also. Later you'll do some few different other crosses, so you'll see the examples as well. Now next is phenotype. What is phenotype? Phenotype, remember I said just now, characteristics. These characteristics can be your blood type, gender, hair shape, okay, whether you're tall or short, your color, all these are phenotype. Okay, so what we are doing now is we are seeing blood. Okay, we are seeing blood type. So phenotypes here is actually blood types. Okay, so what kind of blood type is IAIB? It's AB. Okay, just hear me out on this. I'll explain about the blood types shortly. Next, IAIO, I'll get A. IBIO, I get B, and IOIO, I get O. Okay, this is very important. Now when it comes to genotype ratio and phenotype ratio, this is what we call the probability part. Okay, now so in genotype I only have one homozygous. Okay, only one homozygous, others are all heterozygous. Okay, others are all heterozygous. So if I ask you homozygous to heterozygous ratio, then you have to put 3 to 1, because 3 heterozygous, 1 homozygous. Now in this case I'm asking about genotype. If I see any same type of genotype, that means if I have 2 IAIO or 2 IBIO, then I will put the ratios as per normal. So since I only have like this, I will have to write my genotype ratio as 1 to 1 to 1 to 1, because there are 4 different types of genotype. And finally, when I talk about phenotype ratio, what is the different characteristics? What are the characteristics which is manifested? So I have 1AB, 1A blood type, 1B blood type, and 1O blood type. So my genotype ratio is 1 to 1 to 1 to 1, and phenotype ratio is 1 to 1 to 1 to 1 as well. Okay, so you be asking me, teacher, what about the AB, what about the A, what about the B, what about the O? Now, the rule of thumb in blood type is blood type A and B, we call this as dominant. Okay, dominant. O is recessive. Okay, so when I have A together with O, A will express itself. It's the dominant one. Recessive is the quiet one. It will quiet down. So the recessive only will manifest itself if there's 2 recessive there. Okay, so what about AB? Now, since AB are both dominant, we call this as codominant. Okay, codominant. So far, okay? So we will move on from this. We'll do a few exercises, I'll show you, and then we'll discuss more about the blood in our next online class. Now, let's do another example. Okay, just now I given you also type A and type B, but the difference here is the genotype. The previous example which I've given you is IA, IO, IB, and IO. That is considered heterozygous because the genotypes are different. Now the difference here is, the biggest difference that you can see is the genotype. Here I've given you homozygous genotype with also type A and type B, but the difference is the genes. Both are IA, IA, and IB, IB respectively. So before you do your crosses, okay, arrange your information as such. Okay, arrange your information as such, and then separate all the genotypes. Since you only have 4, so we only do this 4. Okay, now I'll be using the 1314 method, the easiest method. Okay, there's another method called Punnett square. I'll explain to you in our online class later because that's easier to do. Okay, but normally in exam they'll ask you this 1314 method. This is the full working. Okay, now the first step, arrange all of this as such. Second step, you do the 1, 3, okay, and then the 1 and 4. Next you have the 2 and 3, okay, and then the 2 and 4. Okay, now once you have this cross, write down the possible genotypes that you get, the probability. Okay, so this I'm talking about the F1 generation. Once again, I have IA, because I started with IA, then 1, 3, 1, 4, I get IB. Okay, the next cross 1, 4, 1, 3, done. Now 1, 4, IA, IB. Now I've done for 1, 3, 1, 4. Now I do 2, 3, 2, 4, 2, 2, 3, 2, 4. Okay, now you get something very different here from the first example. From the first example, it's very different because in the first example I have IAIB, IAIO, IBIO, and IOIO. But in this, if the parents are homozygous, okay, homozygous, you will get something like this. Okay, now the F1 generation, you have all of this, and the genotypes is this. Okay, the genotype is this. Now when I give you like this, when you are doing the actual crossing, this one bring it here. Okay, this whole thing bring it here. So this will be your space for doing your working. Okay, now what is the phenotype now? Okay, since we are talking about blood type, and there's only single type of genotype here, our blood type is A B, because the only single type of genotype is there. Next is my genotype ratio. I only have one type of genotype, so I only put here as 1. And phenotype ratio, I have only one type of blood, which is O. I also put it as 1. I don't put as 1 0. Okay, so it's not wrong, but I won't put it so that I don't get it confused. Okay, I don't get it confused. Okay, now since you already see how I am doing this crossing, this 1314 method, okay, why don't you try a few examples? Okay, a few examples. I'll give you the full information here. Question 2, 3 and 4. Question 2, 3 and 4, there are subtopics there, sub questions. Please attempt them. Okay, now before you attempt the question also, I want you to try for this type of blood. Okay, the first set, try for A times B. Okay, A can be homozygous, B can be heterozygous. Okay, the second set, try for AB and O. Okay, and the third set, try for AB and B. Okay, now for this I didn't mention what is homozygous and heterozygous, because AB is already heterozygous and O, as I explained just now, is recessive. Recessive is always homozygous. Now this is homozygous and this is can either be heterozygous or homozygous. I give you the freedom. Okay, this one you can do either homozygous or you can do heterozygous. It's up to you. Okay, okay, thank you guys for watching the video, and please practice the questions properly. I will see you all in our next online lesson. Thank you guys, have a nice day.